Hey, my people, what's going on? I hope you're having an awesome night. Tonight it is Wednesday night at 8:30. You know what that means. That means it is our traditional time where we have our midweek conversations. And I want you to know I am right here. I'm watching what you're saying. I'm watching who's on. And so, as always, I want to welcome you and thank you for being with us. I want to ask you to like and share this, get other people in on it. And also comment, talk to us in the chat here, because we got it pulled up. We're ready to have conversation with you. We want to answer questions and have a talk. Y'all, I got a special guest tonight. I'm going to tell you about him. I'm going to let him talk about himself for a minute, because there are people that do watch this that don't attend Radiate and may not know who you are.
That's right.
But tonight we got the executive pastor. the executive pastor, the Right Reverend. Pastor Travis Lucas is with us tonight. He's the executive pastor for Radiate Church. We are pumped that you're with us, man. Thank you so much. I'm going to let you talk about your family, your school, all of that stuff here in just a minute so people can catch up with you.
Well, thank you for saving the best for next.
That's
I'm glad to. Hey, I'm honored. There's been nothing but amazing pastors who are part of the life of our church who've had a ton to say. And, man, Pastor Lorenzo.
Wow.
Man,
wasn't last week good, man?
I tell you what, I was actually pretty nervous about tonight because I feel like every week is so special
really
and
is.
everybody has such great things that they're sharing. So I'm glad to be a part. But to tell you a little bit about me, Pastor, I want to thank you for bringing me on. I think it's been a little over 3 years now that I've got to serve in my role.
Yeah, we were at the Northeast campus when you came on staff as our executive pastor.
That's right. Yeah, some of my first things that I got to work with were trying to figure out where all the flooding was coming into the building and why it was always 100 degrees in there and the AC never worked.
That's right.
So those are some of my initial initiatives that I got to work on.
Let me tell this quick story about Pastor Travis. The first time Pastor Travis ever preached was you got an opportunity to preach for us.
Yeah.
Because we were running 2 campuses.
Oh yeah.
I was preaching live the 10 o'clock at Northeast, and then the 11:30 I was coming over here and preaching live right after we launched the Elgin campus. And the video, we would video the 10, the 8:30 and the 10. We'd video the 10 and show it at 11:30, but the video went down in the middle of it all. And so you called me. I'll never forget this, Travis. This is when I knew I hired, like, the guy for the job, man. You called me, and I'm on my way to go. Like, at that time, man, I walked off the stage from preaching, got in my truck, drove over here, walked in with one song left in worship over here, got on stage and preached again. And you called me and you knew that. And here's what you said. You said, Pastor, listen, nothing to worry about, but the video went out. It messed up. And so I'm going to get up and I'm going to preach. I got your notes here. Anything you want me to know. So, do you remember all that? I'm sure you do.
I preached for about 12 minutes that day. I was like 2 minutes a point, and then we opened and closed. And the prayers lasted as long, probably. As
Dude, that's the first time you had ever preached, wasn't it?
I think it may have up to that point.
Yeah.
And I think it actually was. So that was, that was a special day. But, hey, it's been a fun ride. I appreciate you trusting me with part of the organization. I love our folks so much. So thank you for tuning in. Hey, if you're not a part of our church, listen, there's like years worth of sermons you got to go check out. So much cool stuff that we believe makes our church special in the 8 years we've been around. But a little bit about me, super excited to do ministry and to get to be a part of the church each and every day. I am a husband to Ashley, who she may be asleep right now. I don't know if she's watching.
No, she's on. I see her.
Okay, Ashley.
Yeah, I saw her on there.
Thank you for joining. And I am dad to Hannah, who just turned 2 yesterday. So,
dude,
man, yesterday
how special.
Yesterday was a pretty gnarly day because, like, it was one of the first times that I was, like, super overcome with, like, oh, my gosh, it's like this baby who I remember, doing all this stuff and seeing her do all these things for the first time is now, like, a 2-year-old.
Isn't that crazy?
She's going to be 20 in no time. And you've got kids.
Don't say that. Don't say that, bro. Don't talk.
I've got a weird sense of time. So
listen, we're not going to talk about him being 20. We're not going to talk about all that stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm still in school, a couple classes away from finishing out at CIU. And
what are you getting? Now, go ahead. Don't be shy. Like, what is your degree and all that?
Yeah, I will have a master's in ministry leadership.
Come on, somebody. Yeah. That is awesome, dude. I love it.
And I feel like I'm minoring in it every day. I got to get better.
Listen, you can look at all the guys in there and be like, I live it. Yeah. I live it. All right? I live it. No, we are so grateful for you, man,
Thank
at
you, sir.
Radiate.
I appreciate it.
I know Kershaw, Radiate, Kershaw County, we're all so grateful for you.
Thank you.
You do things behind the scenes that nobody ever gets to see. Hey, I think we need to, in saying that, we need to give a shout out to Pastor Chris Kelly too, man. He is always behind the scenes. He's actually literally at a camera right now messing with the joystick, switching between it. So he does an amazing job. But you do so much of the stuff behind the scenes and help us out, man. And so we're so amazingly grateful for you. But what we wanted to do, I don't know what camera to look at, but what we wanted to do is we're just going to have fun and have a conversation tonight. You're actually going to get in, this is kind of how we set it up. You're going to get into kind of our office atmosphere, office conversation and talk that we have all the time, like daily. We're on the phone. We're celebrating things. We're fixing things. I know people think that church only happens on Sunday mornings, and it can't be that hard. And the truth of the matter is like, there's a lot that goes into this thing. And we
expected and unexpected, right?
Expressed, unexpressed, yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and we love it. We wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
And we both know that we're called to this.
Yes.
We're called to this county. We're called to this church. We're called to each other.
Yes.
And that's what makes it special. But so tonight we're going to celebrate some things. I'm going to let you know what we're doing. We're going to celebrate some stuff. We're going to talk about what our plans are for when we can gather together again.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about what our future plans are. Tonight, I want to go ahead and let you know that we're going to talk about some things tonight, but we have a video that's going to be posted soon for mass consumption to be shared. That's an update for Radiate Church and goes into some of this stuff as well. It'll be coming out within the next week. But anyway, so we're going to talk about that stuff, and then we're going to have an additional conversation for just a few minutes, depending on how much time we have left, about the power of and the purpose of the church today.
Sure.
And I'm really pumped about that. I want to talk about Radiate. I want to talk about what we're doing and what's happening here. And I think there's people that aren't a part of Radiate that need to hear it and
absolutely.
need to know what's happening. And so we're going to do that, and then we're going to have a conversation about the big church, the big C church, because that's what matters, right?
Sounds good.
And so what I want to do, Pastor Travis, I'm going to let you take it off the bat, right, and celebrate some things. What?
Sure.
So COVID-19 hit, man, and I think it hit at like 4:30 on a Friday afternoon, and we were like, all right, we got to make digital church happen in a day, in 24 hours, 36 hours. So since COVID-19 hit, our people and us obviously haven't been able to gather together and worship.
Yeah.
So what have we been doing in that time, man? Fill us in.
Oh, my gosh.
Fill me in. Tell me what's been happening at the church I lead.
So just a few things, and these aren't even wrote down. Like, this is pretty cool, too. And, I pride myself on, like, memorizing things. Like, there's so much that's happened in the past few months. I had to make a list on my phone, so I'm going to grab it here in a second. A few things I didn't write down.
I'm looking at chat, by the way. I'm not ignoring you.
No, you're not. Think about this. We actually have experienced the largest and third largest holidays on the church calendar during this time, which is Easter and Mother's Day, right?
That's a good point, man.
We've seen an entire graduating class graduate with no way to be celebrated, right? We've seen tropical depressions start kicking off and murder hornets, and it has been
we skipped past the murder hornets. Sounds like one day and then everything else hit.
Right. So, the things that I jotted down, I really want to share with each and every person on the stream tonight, and I think they're really worth celebrating. Have probably been more in the past few weeks, so I just want to read some of these things off because I think they're really cool. We've helped distribute hundreds of boxes of food just by showing up and helping the United Way, put them in the cars of people who, man, let's just face it, we're very blessed if we've got full pantries. And maybe the people that we were able to serve food with, man, maybe that kind of alleviated something that we take for granted. And now those folks have food. So we've been partnering with the United Way to deliver hundreds of boxes of food. We have collected hundreds, if not over 1,000 pounds at our drop box right in front of our office. So thank you guys very much for being so good, faithful. Man, we have been partnering with United Way to really make a difference in the pantries of people's right here in the community.
Come on.
We just had a digital serve day where people got to do like 15 to 16 things remotely right in their community, in their neighborhood, right with their neighbors. That was the first time ever, and I think we agreed that, hey, this is something we could literally do each and every month.
That's what we need to do.
So that was really neat. We took part in distributing hundreds of meals to the Commission on Aging with Meals on Wheels, which is really special. We're partnering with a life group right now who's looking to put small gift cards just for lunch in the hands of our first responders.
Come on.
Right here, which I think is really, really cool. We've been making frequent stops to take coffee and caffeinate our medical personnel. You and I have been on some of those trips. This is what I thought was really neat, too, to celebrate the teachers who experienced the conclusion to a really bizarre semester. We picked a day and said, hey, Pelicans is wide open for you guys. You can go grab a snowball on the house just as a thank you for what you guys have been doing. Radiate Youth has provided free Chick-fil-A to students in Kershaw County.
Come on.
That was kind of cool. And this is a really special one. It's a recent one. We talk each and every experience about having a care portal where we really want to be able to do things for folks who have a need. We've seen some needs expressed, and just recently we actually helped provide food and groceries for a family of 7. So
wow,
I mean that's just a couple things. I probably left off more than I remembered.
That's awesome.
So
man.
we've been really doing the best to be the church and serve with excellent love. You know that matters to us.
Well, and yeah, I mean that's what we're here for is a church of the community, not just in it. Yeah. And we've always said that. And there are some things that's out there. We know there's ministries that are doing things and groups that are doing things that, honestly, we may not even know about right now. So, you know, you got Radiate Youth that put up banners congratulating class of 2020. Radiate Kids has done some things. I know the security team and so many of our teams are just doing stuff for people too. And man, what a encouraging thing. That we're not just here to meet on Sundays and that's it. We're here to like make a difference in this world, man. So that's so cool, dude.
We're rocking and rolling, and I mean, I think I even left a few things off. Man, we are just really doing everything we absolutely can to make an impact here in the community. But you know, like today's just the beginning of that. So what's in the future right now for our church?
So that's the big question, and that's one of the things we're actually going to address with a mass video that's going to go out within the week that I talked about. But so we're actually waiting on something. So unfortunately, I wish I could sit here today and tell you guys, oh man, we're going to meet back together this Sunday. I guess I just said it, but that's not true. So we're not meeting back together this Sunday. In fact, I don't know when we're going to meet back together. You know that. I don't know when we're going to be able to sit together again on a Sunday and worship together again at this point. What I do know is what we're waiting on, right? And I want people to understand this. We're a little different. We don't have a home yet.
Right.
We don't have a house yet. So we meet in a school. And we have to work with the school district to make sure we're doing it safely. To make sure that we are honoring them and what's going on with them. And the school district is working their tails off to do this the right way because they have a whole school year to prepare for. They're not just worried about Radiate Church. They are worried about Radiate Church, and they've made that clear. But they're worried about a whole school year. They're worried about teachers and parents and children, and rightfully so. They are doing it the right way. And so we're working with Kershaw County School District to try to figure out when might be the best opportunity to get back together and to be with you guys as soon as absolutely possible. I wish I could sit here today and tell you it's going to be at this day on this date, but I can't say that. I can't say that. So that's what we're waiting on, and I just want everybody to hear me. We're working hard with each other. We're working hard with the school district. We're in touch a lot about what that means and what that looks like. But here's what I do know, right? What I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt is when the time comes, our phasing is ready. Our sanitization policies are ready. Our systems and our structures are ready. And so I'm going to let you talk about that a little bit to let everybody know.
Yeah, absolutely. We are working very diligently to prepare to regather, which I know is going to be an exciting time. And just like you said, Pastor, there's a lot of uncertainty to what that's going to look like. And you know how many folks that's going to look like. What are the safety precautions we're going to put in place? So hey, listen. If you're asking those questions right now, or you're really wondering, I'd love to speak into what we're doing right now. In the meantime, to prepare for that, and I think one of the best things we can do is be learning right now. Right? So we're constantly studying recommendations from the state of South Carolina, from the CDC, from health organizations against what I like to call emerging information, right? Because we both know
it's emerging all the time, isn't it?
It is all the time. And so it's very wise for us to continually study and learn that as this goes a little further and some things are starting to regather and, you know, we're in different phasing in terms of like a nation, you know, we can check what we're doing against that and we can kind of plan going forward. And we're also collaborating a good bit right now. So we're brainstorming nonstop of what that regather is going to look like. I personally am meeting with a lot of leaders who are in what would normally be high touch areas. And we're thinking, how do we take maybe the touch part out of it, but we continually serve guests to our absolute best ability. So we're brainstorming through everything. Hey, we're also even collaborating with other churches. And you know that. You and I have made a couple of visits to churches that are really progressive in their safety and in their sanitization. and they've taught us a few things that we can put into practice whenever we regather, and we're positioning now too.
That's good.
And so in the positioning phase, we are procuring, the fancy word for buying, fancy state-of-the-art.
Procuring.
That's right, fancy state-of-the-art cleaners. So I have to tell you this because I think this is fascinating. So we're working with a company out in Athens, Georgia.
Okay.
Who has this cleaner? I don't know why I am stopping time during this midweek conversation to tell everybody this, but I was so impressed with it because Delta Airlines uses this cleaner.
Let's go.
Supposedly,
go big or go home.
Supposedly, it is like the best thing you can absolutely use to sanitize surfaces. And we're getting a steady supply chain of this stuff set up. Yeah. And Pastor, I've told you this. Hey, this is not just great stuff for what we're doing right now to make a safe environment. Man, I'm thinking this is standard practice going forward for flu season, for virus season, because we know everybody's gonna get that bug once or twice. Yeah. We're working really diligent to bring in state-of-the-art equipment to fog and to sanitize surfaces. And I think one of the more important things that we're doing right now in this entire process is we're listening.
Yes. Yeah.
So we started an initial wave, and you know this, of asking our team members, hey, what do you think about this? And what's your experience been? How do you feel about regathering?
Yeah. And
I'll tell you the data on that right now, and I'll tell everybody who's watching. We're finding that about 66 to 70% of folks are really excited to regather. They're energized. This has been a productive season for them. They've grown during the coronavirus, and they're really excited to regather. And it is really safe to say that about a third of the people, they're optimistic, but I'm a little hesitant to get out. Have people coughing on me.
Yeah.
And then there's some folks, man, they're undecided, and we want to let you know that is totally okay. Yeah. And it is only a matter of time before we're going to release that survey to the public because we want to know what everyone feels about regathering as a church. That's a little bit about
where
we've been.
And I think it's important to say we have been doing some diligent research, going and visiting and talking to people that have already reopened. Right. And God's really given us an opportunity. I know I've been on a call with about 10 pastors over the past week or two, helping them reopen in some ways too. So the platforms are good. I'm having a blast, and I'm ready to get back together. I'm having a blast, and it really, even as the pastor, I know people think, well, you're just in the weeds of it. And I am, but I'm really excited to know the links that we're going to make sure everything's going to be safe and ready and sanitized whenever we get ready. Yeah. One of the links we're going to go to is I'm going to get rid of the squeak in this chair. I might just burn the chair before this whole thing's over. I don't know if y'all can hear that. I can hear it, and it drives me up the wall. Yeah. WD-40 is going to be my best friend after this thing.
Absolutely.
All right. So with that, Travis, and we are exploring all kinds of opportunities on what this looks like. What can we do in the meantime, right? What can we do to get back together in some way, shape, or form?
Well, a lot of folks are asking.
Yeah, and rightfully so, and I hope they are. I hope they miss us. I hope they miss being with us, right?
For sure.
And so we're going to continue. I had somebody ask this today. They came in the office asking something, and they asked us this question. They said, are you going to continue even whenever we go back to physical location? Are you going to continue to offer online services? I want to go ahead and say yes. Absolutely. For us moving forward, online is not an option anymore. It's now a campus. Absolutely. And we want to create that campus. We want to create that opportunity. And so we're exploring all these options, and one of those options includes 18 acres on Whiting Way. And so I'm gonna release some information tonight that maybe Pastor Travis don't want me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna release some information tonight. I want you to know, if you're watching this, you're part of Radiate Church. I don't want you to sit there and think that everything's on hold, because it's not. In fact, it might be moving a little bit faster now than it was before.
Might be.
Might be. And so we've met. I'm just gonna be real. We've met with builders and designers, and we've had conversations about what it looks like to build a campus and build a site for Radiate Church in this time.
Sure.
And what it looks like to scale it down a little bit from our original plan so that we can get it up, get it ready, so that it's not too much.
Sure.
And we can get that thing in there. And the thing we're looking at this point, and here's what we know. We're trying to build something that can grow to about 1,000 people
Sure.
in multiple services in that location.
Absolutely.
That's the initial phase, right? Phase one. What we know is we're trying to build something that gives us auditorium space, kids space, office space, lobby space, space to do ministry for kids, for Radiate Youth, for everything, right? And all these things. So I want you to know we're having those conversations. We're talking to builders. We're talking to engineers. We're talking to designers. We're talking to our third-party CFO that audits and looks at every single financial transaction that is ever made in the history of Radiate Church. We're talking to them. Here's what we don't know. We don't have a rendering. We don't know the final cost. We don't know the projection right now. Right?
Probably all the things are in the chat right now.
I don't. Yeah, right.
I
don't know when this could happen.
Sure.
But here's what I have. Here's what so I've told you what I know, what I don't know. Now I'm going to ask you to do this. Pray.
Sure.
Pray, because here's the truth, right? There's a few things you can do that can help us. I want you to know, every person you invite to be a part of Radiate Church, even digitally, is getting us even a step closer to doing that.
That's absolutely right.
I want you to know, every dollar you give to Waymaker gets us a dollar closer to building that thing than we've ever been before. Yeah. So I want you to pray. I want you to invite. I want you to pray about giving. And I want you to pray over the transition over the next several weeks.
Yeah.
As we've got meetings scheduled. Our next meeting is in 2 weeks. And I don't know what that's going to look like. I've never done this before. I don't know what it's going to look like. But here's what I do know. We've got people in our corner that are in these meetings with us that have done it multiple times. And we're not pulling triggers just lackadaisically. We are moving forward strategically. And so pray with us. Pray for direction. Pray for guidance. And pray that God would make this happen. I'm not saying 100% this is going to happen in 2020 in the middle of a pandemic.
Sure.
But I'm also not saying it ain't going to happen. Sure. You know what I'm saying? And so I just want you to know we're looking at the school. We're looking at other options. I know some of you talked about drive-in church. We've looked at a lot of that stuff. We've talked about a lot of that stuff, outdoor stuff. And I want you to know that we're also looking at our property and having meetings about what it looks like to put a campus there and put a building there that we can grow to 1,000 people like that over the next several. Hopefully, it only takes us a year to get there.
Sure.
Over multiple services and things like that. So I know that there's some excitement happening. Here's what I want you to do: radiatechurch.net/give. You can go there and I want you to pray with us, and I want you to believe with us that God's going to do the miraculous. Because here's what I know, and I've said this to you, and I've declared this from day one. When this thing happens, if it's 2020, if it's 2021, doesn't matter. When this thing happens, it's going to happen in a way that people are going to look and say, only God can make that happen.
Sure, yeah.
And it's going to be a lighthouse for our entire county when it takes place. So I just want everybody to know, and I'm going to check the chat because I'm kind of curious what's taking place in that right now. But I want everybody to know we are looking at options. We are doing everything that we can do, and we're just praying and praying and praying for what God's going to do. And I just believe He's going to do something special in this whole situation.
And I want to tell you something to that degree too, Pastor. And I would love to tell each and every person who's in this stream right now, thank you so much for your generosity up to this point. And I don't just mean generosity towards giving towards a campaign, but your support, your time, your energy, your prayers, everything right now is collateral towards the future. It truly is. We want to thank you for being faithful. I want to let you know, Pastor, and I want to let everybody know who's watching, that there's only simple finance equation, right? There's one way to create, or two ways to create margin. You either cut expenses, or you raise revenue. Right?
Yep.
And I want to let you guys know that through generosity and through the faithfulness of your lead pastor and your staff team to steward what God sent this house, man, it's been time well spent over these past few months, and we've really positioned ourselves to make this an actuality.
Yeah, it's. I want to say this. I'm not going to lock us into anything.
Sure.
But I want to say this to some people. This is a real possibility for this year.
It is.
This is a real possibility. We are having real conversations about what it looks like and what can happen, and we need your help. Yeah. We need your prayers. We need your generosity. We need your inviting.
Yes.
So that when this thing does happen, it's going to be a powerful moment, and I'm just going to watch God change people's lives in this whole thing. I'm excited, man. I'm pumped about it. There's a lot of vision. And I want you to know this. When we put up a building, it's the beginning of a campus.
Absolutely.
It's the beginning of a campus, of a broadcast location that a campus that will be for the community and not just for Sundays. And it is a broadcast location because we will be going to other places and we will be broadcasting out when this thing takes place.
And you and I have had private conversations that we're entering an era, and I think we're going to actually creep into this actually pretty soon. We start to talk about, hey, what does the church look like right now and beyond?
Yeah.
But the church is not going to be Sunday anymore.
No.
Long gone are the days of high production, everything on Sunday.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing a paradigm shift, and we've even talked about, hey, this campus is going to be as much Monday through Saturday as it's going to be on Sunday as well.
And that's our vision. We don't want to be a Sunday campus. We want to be a Monday through Sunday campus. We want to be a place where the community comes and plays on our playground, where the community can come to a community garden and get vegetables and fruits that they need that are fresh grown. Yeah. We want to be a place where an amphitheater is at. Like, that's all future stuff. We want a large auditorium for people. We want a place where the town of Elgin can come and have their meetings if they want to have it somewhere else. Like, I'm just saying, guys, this is point A of a long process of a campus. And so we're having the conversations to see what can happen. And I'm going to watch God make something happen that will happen.
Absolutely.
Right? Somebody put in the chat, this is funny, somebody put in the chat, take my money. So, like, people would say that all the time. But, no, we are here, and they put a little laughing face with it. But we're here. Yeah. We are not money-driven. We're vision-driven.
Sure.
Our vision, our vision is not driven by the money we take in.
Sure.
You get what I'm saying? Like, our vision drives everything.
Absolutely.
And so it doesn't matter to me what it looks like on the external. I know what we've been called to do. And that's what I just want you to hear me. That's what we will do. Not what we might do, what we will do. And so I'm excited, man. It's a great time.
Hey,
God's been doing some amazing stuff.
It's a win-win. We're either going to see this as an actuality, or before that day comes, we're going to regather somewhere temporary.
That's exactly right.
I think it's a win-win. Or Michael Scott would say it's a win-win-win.
Yes. Michael Scott would say.
We were just watching his videos.
Yes, we were. Michael Scott would say a lot. I love this ergonomical chair that I'm sitting in right now.
Yeah, that is a Michael Scott.
It's stupid.
But it's kind of funny, though, as you're talking about that, Pastor, is with what we're experiencing right now with the coronavirus and from not being able to gather, it's maybe really, I don't want to say changed the way we thought about church, but it's definitely created a refocus.
Yeah,
about
that's
that.
right.
So I want you to kind of speak into a little bit of, what does that mean for somebody maybe hearing that for the first time, who's trying to wrap their heads around, like, well, you don't have a building, so how are you a church?
Man, Travis, all right, so we're shifting into additional conversation at this point, and it's such a good question because the church as we know it has changed forever.
Sure.
It is never going to be the same again. And honestly, I like it. And here's why. I like it because I think the fluff and production of all right, let me back up. I don't think production is wrong in a church.
Right.
I think it's very beneficial. I think it's very complimentary and very supportive in the ministry of a local church, right? The way the church has changed is actually what we're going to talk about over the next 4 weeks as well. But the way the church has changed is it's going back to a simpler time, to when Jesus actually, in Acts chapter 2, Jesus, God, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus, they institute the church to begin with. And it begins to go from 120 to 3,000 to over 100,000 people in about 20 years. Sure. And so I believe what's happening right now is the reason that a church can meet in a school, not have a building, not have overhead, and all this stuff is because the church was never even intended to be about a building to begin with.
Sure.
The church was intended to be about the gathering of people that commit themselves to the teaching of the Word, that commit themselves to the relationship with God, that commit themselves to the horizontal relationship with others, that commit themselves to changing the world through the power of the Holy Spirit, and you don't need a facility to do that. A facility just facilitates a move of God.
Absolutely.
That's it. And so I think what's happening in this realm is there's going to be a group of people that grasp this in this simpler church and grasp this reality that church is changing. And church, hear me today, and I don't know what camera to look at, but I'm going to look at it. That's my fault. Chris is doing a great job. I'm just not paying attention. But I think there's going to be people that are going to have to grasp this reality that we've been preaching for a long time, and it's this thing ain't about us.
Oh, man, absolutely.
This thing ain't about us. Our job in this entire thing is to commit and submit our lives to Christ.
Absolutely.
To submit our lives to God, to be empowered by the Spirit of God, and stop worrying about the songs that are sung, stop worrying about the topic that's preached on, and we listen to the word that God's got for our corporate body in that day. And then Monday through Saturday, I don't go home and go, well, I'll wait on the sermon. No, Monday through Saturday, we go and feed our souls.
Absolutely.
So that we can go out and change the world, because changing the world is not a motto. Changing the world is a command from God.
Absolutely.
And so I think church has shifted in such a way that nothing's ever going to be the same again when it comes to the church, the Big C church. And I love it, man. What do you think?
I couldn't agree more. So I've been nerding out over the idea of...
I just dropped my phone. I'm sorry.
Go ahead and grab it. That's how casual we are tonight.
That's right.
So I've been kind of nerding out over the idea of what the... and this is so fitting for right now.
Yeah.
For what the word apocalypse means in our Bible, because I think that is probably what people are thinking. Like, man, this is such a weird time. It's everything but zombies right now.
We're not so sure that that's not even happening.
I know, seriously. And whenever we study our Bibles and we look at the word apocalypse, that word doesn't mean what we like put on that word right now. And that word means it's a uncovering or an unveiling of something. It's almost where we get to take a minute to take a glimpse, like, from the other side of the window pane, the way God kind of sees the world. And it should give us such a moving experience that now we've kind of shifted the way that we look at life, or we pivot, right? The way that we look at life.
I like how you did that. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. There you go.
You got it. And so with that being said, minus the zombies, looking at it strictly biblically, this is actually a very apocalyptic time. It's a chance where, man, I think God is shaking and stirring some things up. Yeah. And we have a chance to approach our faith with a new energy, with some new vision, with some just new clarity on what it means to be a follower of Jesus, and to put him at the center when all the conventional things aren't there anymore, right? Your Sunday gathered experiences aren't there. Your life groups meeting on a Zoom call instead of in person, right? Your whatever that thing is that you're so used to being about church, man, it's changed so much that it's really just given us a whole new way to think about what does it even mean to be a follower of Jesus when all that stuff's stripped away. Wow. To begin with. Here's even the crazier thing too. That's good. You and I, man, we eat, sleep, breathe this, right? Ministry is our baby. Yeah. And so we attribute so much to getting to serve, others. A large part of presenting the gospel on Sundays, which by no means is the most important thing we can be doing.
Absolutely.
But we've got to focus so much Monday through Saturday now about services. Like, man, it's even changed the way. And think about this with the coronavirus. There are a lot of folks who, man, they're a little nervous to get out and distribute food and stuff, and that's okay. Yeah. But we're going, man, there's ways that you can serve people in your neighborhood and at home. Yeah. Yeah. And in a digital age, it's never been easier. You could share this. You could literally share this talk right now. Mm-hmm. You could share a sermon. You could share a sermon quote. You could share your favorite Bible verse. We're in such a world now to where we can be missional, even in a restricted setting. So that's good. It is an absolute paradigm shift in church altogether. It is, and Travis, I was thinking during this entire thing, I've thought about this several times this week. I heard somebody kind of bring this scripture up, and I thought about the visual of it, and it's when Jesus says that he's going to separate the wheat from the chaff. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And this conversation comes up, and he says, we're going to separate the wheat from the chaff. Well, if you understand what the chaff is the trash, basically. The wheat is the good stuff. The wheat is the stuff you want. It's the stuff you can make the bread out of and all that stuff back in the day, right? Well, I'm sure you know how, but do you know how to separate wheat from chaff? Here's what you do. You go to a place where it's a little windy. You throw it up in the air. Literally, this is how they would do it. They throw it in the air, and the wind would come, and when the wind would blow, the chaff was lightweight. There's something there. Right. The chaff was trash, and so the wind would blow the chaff away, and the wheat would fall. Mm-hmm. And the wheat would fall back in the basket. And, man, here's what I just kind of think about in this. Yeah. I had this conversation with somebody, and I haven't stopped thinking about it, is I keep thinking about that
if we don't have any weight to our faith,
Sure.
then we're going to be blown here and there by the winds. We're going to be blown here and there by coronavirus. We're going to be blown here and there by murder hornets. We're going to be blown here and there by zombies when they come, which I'm probably going to be blown here and there by them. We're going to be blown here and there by racial injustice conversations that shouldn't be blowing us around. It should be a one united stance.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't understand how we can go when there's a shooting in Boston and say Boston strong, but we can't say black people strong.
Sure. Absolutely.
We got a problem standing for people that are hurting.
Absolutely.
But people, states away, will stand in strength for them. But we have a problem and it proves the systematic problem that's taking place, systemic problem that's taking place in our world today. Anyway, sorry, sidebar. So my question in all this is, are we falling back into the basket, back into the hands of God, or are we being blown? Because here's the thing, right? And I'm going to be bold for a second. If we've had a problem watching our church that we are committed and submitted to because we believe in what God's doing, if we have a problem watching that and engaging in that on Sundays, we're being blown by the wind.
Sure.
If I'm not reading my word and praying and getting in touch with God because I can't attend on Sundays, I'm being blown by the wind.
Sure.
If I can't engage in a life group because it's digital and not physical, I'm being blown by the wind. Because why? Because the situations are shifting, and because the situations are shifting, it's shifting me because I have no weight to what I'm doing anyway. I'm just doing it because everyone else was.
Absolutely.
And so that's where the church is being sifted right now. I believe there's some people that are beginning to realize I don't have as much weight to my faith as I thought I did.
Pastor, you know I'm all about a couple philosophies when it comes to anything we do here in the office. They are faith, they are math, and they are science.
Yes.
And I want to tell you that the polling suggests within the first few months of the novel coronavirus that people who consider themselves engaged in their local church, 6 out of 10 of those people haven't had any connection to their church over that time.
Hold on.
They haven't viewed a sermon.
Wow.
They haven't heard a podcast.
6 out of 10
have
not engaged. Have not engaged
with
in their church.
Yeah. Haven't watched a video. Haven't done anything. That's Barna Research, man. They're a well accredited polling institution for all things Christian.
Man, and I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna be real honest. That ticks me off.
It's bothersome.
It ticks me off because how can we claim such a strong faith in person? But the moment that's taken from us, all of that shifts.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I don't understand, and I'm not just talking about Radiate right now. I'm talking because I've got friends going through this stuff. Our engagement and stuff has been insane.
Sure.
Like God's really done
right,
some amazing things.
Yeah.
So this isn't like us complaining about Radiate. This is a
We're
national
the anomaly.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a national conversation.
It's a national average. Yeah.
But like, how can I look at you as the pastor of First Baptist Church, Georgetown, New York, or whatever? Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just made that up. But how can I look at you and go, man, I believe in what God's doing in your life. I believe in the vision in your life. But now that things have shifted and the wind's blowing somewhere else, I don't believe in it enough to actually sit down and be a part of it whenever I can't see you face to face.
Yeah. I get it.
That's a national conversation. That hurts, man.
It does. It does. But, I think there's something important that we can absolutely do tonight as we continue to talk about what it means to be the church, is to tell each and every person on here, listen, if this is the first time you have ever dropped into one of the streams, or you're new to Radiate Church, or maybe you're somebody you're like, you know what, I probably have squandered a couple months worth of time during this. It's never too late, man.
Yeah, that's right.
It's never too late. We were talking the other day, and I heard somebody say something, and it has incredibly deeply moved me over the past few days, is that God is incredibly inefficient with his time in such the way that he gives us a lifetime to draw near to him.
Dude.
So it is never too late to start practicing your faith. But it is staggering the state of the church today. It really is.
And I think it's shifting for good. I think it's shifting for good. I just want people to engage in what God's doing, because I believe the hope of the world is in the local church.
It is.
It's what God, it's what Christ, it's what the Spirit is doing through the local church. Because the local church, I want to say this, the local church ought to lead the way in generosity.
Absolutely.
Financial generosity.
Absolutely.
I know we go above and beyond what we even ask people to do as a church.
We do.
We do it willingly. We do it strategically. We go above and beyond that. I think the church should lead the way in generosity. I think the church should lead the way in love. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, so I don't want to get sidetracked on that. I think the church should lead the way in innovation. And the church should lead the way in serving its community.
Yeah.
You know, and so like with that, the church, again, is not the building, though. I mean, we're sitting in I don't know how big this place is, but it's not big.
Yeah.
You know, we could fit 25 people in this room if we did it right.
Absolutely.
You know, but we're having church here.
Yeah.
The church is the collection of people. That's why we can gather digitally for a time. Now, that doesn't mean that the large gatherings aren't important.
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I want to encourage you, join in. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. Join in the next several weeks because we're actually talking about the church, the past church, the present church, and the future church over the next 4 weeks. But anyway, and so I agree with you. Now, the church should lead the way in love. Last Sunday, we talked about how Paul pivoted. And his pivot was the way he loved people.
Sure.
I became a Jew for the Jews. I became a Greek for the Greek, all for the sake of the gospel so that I might win some, right? Yeah. What does it look like, Travis, for us to be the church and be the church that loves?
To be the church that loves. I love to share something personal if I could maybe
absolutely
step away from that. The thing that has always really helped me, not as a pastor, but as somebody who's trying to follow Jesus as absolutely close as possible, is that the best way I can ever approach any person that I'll ever meet is that Jesus so deeply cared for the person standing in front of me that he gave his life for that person in the exact same manner that he gave to me. Let me tell you, everybody watching this, we all want to be like the hero in our own story, right? Mm-hmm. We read the Bible and we insert our name everywhere it says something other else, right? and I think that whenever we do that, we're really missing the opportunity to look across at somebody else and realize that, man, they're just as much the person that Jesus died for.
That's good.
You know, it says in 1 Peter, Jesus died for the sins of the world. And what I love so much about that is it's completely inclusive. It's not exclusive to anybody. And the greatest thing that we can do as a response as a follower of Jesus is to just look at them with the weight, worth, and value that he did.
That's so good.
And man, that's where I'm at on. But I know you're going to top it.
Oh,
so,
no. That listen, there's nothing to top the gospel like that. That's just what's up.
Well, why don't you speak into that a little bit? What does it mean as somebody who's responding to the gospel of the good news of what Jesus did for them? In what way can we, and I love what Francis of Assisi said, preach the gospel at all times, and if necessary, use words. What are some ways that our actions can express love for other people less than what we say? Because, hey, it's easy for me to type anything on this keyboard right now.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
Yeah.
What are some practical things that we can do to love other people?
Man, I think, first of all, it's a heart posture.
Sure.
You have to have, you can't. All right, so you can love people and not love God, but you can't love God and not love people.
Sure.
Like, I need to say that again. You can love people and not love God, but you can't love God and not love people. So you got to have a heart posture that's opened up to the differences of people. And this is where I have to posture my heart, right? So I'm a pretty intolerant person a lot of times. And it's my personality because I'm so driven and I'm so focused that I'm like, I know what kind of personality and what kind of thing has got to happen in order for that to take place, right? Yeah. And so anything outside of that is difficult for me to grasp. But I have to have a heart posture where I go, your difference does not make you different from me. Your difference makes you unique.
Absolutely.
And I have to embrace your uniqueness. Yeah. I have to embrace your quirk. I have to embrace, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just stuff. And so, like, we've got to come to a place where intolerance is not an option, to where we just accept people for who they are. And we got to, and I think some of it, Travis, I'm going to be honest, I talk about this a little bit coming up this coming Sunday. And I've talked about the prophetic of our words anyway and how we prophesy things in. I think some of it is we need to change our language. Yeah. We need to quit talking about behind closed doors how stupid somebody is and start talking about how they are God's child.
Sure.
They're not stupid. They just may not know what you know, or they may know more than you know. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I think some of it's that we got to love people in deed and action. And here's where love is. Like, this is the difficulty for humankind. The difficulty for humankind is that love is selfless.
Yeah.
Love, the kind of love that God calls us to love others with, is selfless. Now, selfless doesn't mean I don't think of myself.
Sure.
It means I think of myself less.
Absolutely.
Right? I don't think less of myself. I think of myself less. And so what that means is that I don't look down on you because I think so much of me.
Right.
And so I've got to come to a place to where I can embrace anyone at any time with anything because I know who God is.
Sure.
And man, sometimes that means my heart, and I got to learn to listen to my heart. Like, I got to learn to go, all right, like, this is my prayer a lot. God, let me feel and let me know when I need to lean into someone.
That's good.
And what I need to do to lean into them. And so there are times I'll be at the gas pump and I just feel this draw to somebody. And there's a natural part of me that goes, you need to quit being so dadgum weird.
Sure.
To me. Not the person, to me.
Yeah.
But it's really the Spirit going, I need you. Even sometimes, man, I'll just walk up to somebody and say, I hope you have a great day. And I've literally had people just from that one statement look at me and go, man, I appreciate that. I hadn't had a nice word all day.
That's good.
What it looks like to love people is to lean into what God thinks of them. We have to put on God glasses and see people through those instead of through my own judgmental glasses. Because I'm human. We're all going to be judgmental to an extent. And so loving people, and the thing is, man, loving people shouldn't be hard. If I love God, like really love God, and I really know who God's character is, and I really know what He thinks about them, why is it so hard for me to love them?
Sure. I don't know why I think this is funny. I want to tell you this, though.
Yeah.
And you were making me think about it just now.
You're welcome.
And I know, and you and Pastor Lorenzo had a more productive conversation than you and I could ever have about accepting all people in the world. You know, that conversation was very powerful. And if you didn't watch it, you know, we rebroadcasted it because it was so powerful and speaking into the things that are dividing us today. But you're absolutely right. You can't pick and choose who you love, especially as a believer, because here's why. So in 2002, British researchers tag teamed up with forensic scientists.
I like where this is going already.
You know, I like all the nerd stuff, right? To try to recreate the physical person of Jesus, right? So they went, you nerd stuff. So they actually borrowed some first century remains of Jewish people who lived, plus minus a couple of decades of Jesus in the exact same, radius around Jerusalem, right? And so they reconstructed what Jesus would have looked like, right? So I can't say that I can't pick and choose who I love whenever the person who I follow is not the white European dude with the mullet.
Come on.
They said that Jesus would have likely been about 5.5 foot tall, stringy black hair, an enlarged nose. That's not me saying it. That's those guys saying it, right? I'm not picking on Jesus right now.
I mean,
and olive complexion.
Yeah.
I can't sit here and be intolerant of other people when I'm submitting my life to somebody who looks nothing like me.
That's right. Come on.
In
that's
human
good.
form. In human form.
Yeah, that's good.
Submitting my life. And there are people around the world who are physically submitting their life because of the person they've never even seen, but are so moved
good.
by His story and what He's done from them through just His word.
That's so good. Yeah.
You can't be intolerant.
You can't. I mean, and we're talking about racial equality all throughout our state, our nation, honestly, our world, today. And the truth is, He made every race.
Absolutely.
God created every race. We either believe that or we don't.
Yeah.
We either believe He created every person on the face of the planet or we don't. I believe He did.
Yeah.
Everybody watching probably would go, yeah, I believe that. Then I can't pick and choose which part of His creation I love.
Yeah, I agree.
And I can't choose when, right? James says, don't look on these. He's talking about rich people, but it was a great analogy. He said, don't look on these with favorable faith. What he's saying is don't hold favoritism. Yeah. Don't treat somebody different just because of the skin color, the amount of money, whatever they have. So here's a question to end this thing with, because I want to. Let's take about 5 minutes right here, and then we're going to end this night, this amazing night.
Thanks, sir.
Talk to me about the importance of self-growth and spiritual maturity. We've talked about it a little bit. Self-growth and spiritual maturity.
Can I do this? I don't want to take a bit away from where you're going to be teaching for the next 4 weeks, but could I give everybody viewing right now an appetizer portion of what they're in for the next 4 weeks?
This is live. You have a mic. Go for it.
We can't cut it off.
No, that's right. And PC's not at the control right now, so you're good.
So Jesus, he looks at his disciples and he tells them, man, I want you to go. His disciples, he says, I want you to go and make disciples. I want you to baptize them. I want you to teach them. And I'm going to be with you to the end of age, right? And the new church kicks off in Acts 2. Peter grabs scroll of Joel. He reads it. He says, this is now happening. And we get the blueprint for the church, right? They're going to sit at the apostles' teaching.
Yep.
You're going to go into that.
Yep.
They're going to gather in large groups.
Mm-hmm.
When they do that, they're going to gather in small groups.
Yep.
They're going to eat together. They're going to break bread. They're going to remember Jesus at the center of that meal, and they're going to take communion every time they meet, right? And they're going to serve, and they're going to have everything in common. They're going to be generous with each other. And everything they have, that's not just money. That's with time and with grace. We're going to talk about that.
That's right.
And they're going to serve people, and they're going to pray. They're going to worship, right?
Yeah.
So number one, no matter what happens, right, Christ is at the center.
Absolutely.
But I want to dive in just for a second about the growth thing.
Do it.
Because if you haven't checked out a sermon yet, and you're thinking about it or whatnot, now is the time to dive in, and it's important because of this reason. So whenever we look at sit at the apostles' teaching, right, what are they talking about? Like, the faith just started a couple weeks ago. What are they sitting around talking about, right?
Yeah.
Jesus at the center. Now let's go back to that word disciple, right? Now when we go to the Greek, when we start looking at the word disciple, it means learner.
Yep.
So first and foremost, in our Bibles, when Luke is writing Acts, he says it's important to be a constant learner.
Yes. Teachability.
Learner.
Yeah.
You've got to have your life has to be so moved by, not even if you're even a follower of Jesus at that point, you've got to be so intrigued by him.
Yeah.
That you're starting to go through the little breadcrumbs now, and you're starting to learn.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the most important things that we can do during this time, heck, it ain't just me. I mean, we're going into the book of Acts. Luke thinks this too. Right?
Yeah.
So much that he wrote it.
Yeah.
We need to be avid learners right now.
Absolutely.
We can be avid learners by engaging in worship experiences on Sunday. We can be avid learners by cracking open our Bible, right? The most old school thing you can do.
Oh, man. How dare you suggest that we read God's Word?
Bible app devotions. And listen, as a church, we are very proud to provide each and every person a Right Now Media subscription. It is a free platform. They call themselves the Netflix of church. It is really cool. You'll see some follow-up stuff because we love to give you information if that's interesting to you. I love it. My family loves it. It is so important as a follower of Jesus and responding to the gospel we present each and every week to want to be an avid learner.
That's good.
Learning is the first step, right?
That's
Paul
good.
says, he says that we become to get transformed from hearing the word, right?
Yeah.
And start to follow those breadcrumbs a little bit and to learn. And I think now, especially if you're somebody watching this or if somebody has sent you this, right, and you're getting like tagged in it right now, and you're kicking the tires on what it means to follow Jesus, it could not be more simple because if disciple means learner, right, and all you have to do is just kick the tires and to begin to put him at the center of your faith, then I think it's really easy for each and every person to start to follow Jesus. Learning is essential right now.
Well, and learning is an active, it's an active act.
Yes.
It's something we do, right? So you have to be intentional about
Sure.
it. And man, that's so good. And I want to encourage you today, if you're out there tonight and you're just kind of struggling in your faith and you're trying to figure out what to do, Pastor Travis just said it perfectly. We've got to be active learners.
Sure.
Let's crack open that Bible. Let's turn on some worship music. Let's spend time with the Lord. Let's listen to what He has to say instead of making Him listen to what we have to say.
That's incredible. Yeah.
I mean, And so I just want to encourage you to do that. If you would like that Right Now Media link so that you can sign up for that, what do they need to do?
Yeah, I think one of the best things we can do is just follow up tonight's conversation with just a very simple post where anybody can click and get access to that. I think that'd be the best thing to do. So no one's.
In chat
I
right
think
now.
we got it in the chat right now. There you go. Hey, don't click on it until we conclude though.
Yeah,
So you
don't
know
click
that.
out of this. We're not done yet.
So yeah.
No, that's good.
What's some final thoughts you have for us tonight? Man, we talked about a lot. We talked about what we're
We
doing,
did.
where we're
Shotgun
going.
blast tonight. It was a lot.
It was all over the place, and then a little bit of church at large. But what would you got for us?
I think for me, it's just remembering that we're committed to Christ. We're committed to what He's doing, and we're committed to the people that we get to do it with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And but Christ is the center.
Absolutely.
Christ is the center, and I could sing that song right now, but I won't because I don't know. Pastor Chris might sign me up for worship or something if I did. But no, I think it's just remembering Christ at the center.
Absolutely.
And I can't complain. I don't want to get too much into Sunday, but I can't complain about where I'm at if nothing I've done has led me in a different direction.
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't sit back and go, I can't believe I'm here. This sucks and this shouldn't be the way it is. And yet, everything that I've done in my life leading up to now has been perfectly designed to get me to the destination I'm currently at. And all that changes. So I do want to I want to encourage you tonight. Join us this Sunday at 9:30, 11, and 5 p.m. Help us share that 5 p.m. link every Sunday, 9:30, 11, and 5. We're in Pivot week 4, and this week is the pivot of defining it different. Define it different. If you want to read ahead, you can go ahead and read 2 Corinthians chapter 10, 2 Corinthians chapter 11, and 2 Corinthians chapter 12. Read those 3 chapters. It'll get you caught up with where we're going. It'll be a great time. Also, midweek conversations will continue, and we're actually going into a separate little series, kind of piggybacking a little bit off of Pivot, really, about the church and about the early church. And we're going to go back to Acts chapter 2, where the church was born, and we're going to talk about the 4 pegs of the early church and what that means for us and what that means for us then and what that means for us now. And we're going to be joined with my great friend for those 4 weeks out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, Sand Springs, Oklahoma, I should say, Pastor Chuck Barano from the Harvest Church. He's a great friend of mine.
Absolutely.
He's a great friend of Radiate.
Absolutely.
He's preached here probably more than any other guest pastor we've ever had.
He said beefy salt the last time he was in a
He
midweek.
did say beefy salt. He did, and I'm going to steal it from him. But anyway, we're going to sit down and we're going to break down Scripture is what we're going to do. And we're going to talk about what does it mean to be the church, because I think it's a really relevant conversation that anybody needs to know and understand, because church has changed. And we need to understand the purpose of the church, the power of the church, and what we can do to be the church moving forward.
And I think people are going to find comfort that, what the disciples experienced in those early Christian experiences, man, life was not normal for them either.
It wasn't.
And I think we're in good company today with the original blueprint.
I actually, all right, I'm going to let you pray in a minute, pray this out. I actually kind of laugh when people tell me, man, it's never been this bad before. It has. It's been worse.
It's kind of always been.
It's been way worse, and it just hasn't been this bad in our lifetime.
Agreed, yeah.
And so we can't see it through that lens, though. So we're going to look at that. So come next week, invite somebody to be with you next. You don't have to be a part of Radiate to watch this stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
8:30 on Wednesdays. Bring your notebook and a pen, because we're going to break some stuff down. We're going to talk Scripture. But I'm so glad you were with us. I'm so glad you were with us tonight to talk about this stuff. And I hope you can take something from it and use it and utilize it to change the world and change your life. And I'm going to get Pastor Travis to close us out in prayer.
No problem. Thank you so much, Pastor, for having me. It was an honor.
You did a great job. Thank you.
Absolutely. God, we just want to come before you right now and thank you for the opportunity to continue to grow our faith, God, to connect digitally, even if it's just sharing information right now, God. We know that with information comes clarity, and with clarity comes comfort, God. So we pray that everything that was spoken tonight, God, is going to give peace in your people. And God, as we begin to talk about what your church looks like and why you died for it and why it's important to us, God, we pray that you just really give us a sense of understanding that though the world we live in right now may be chaotic, it may be confusing and different, and we may have experienced things during this time that are very unconventional, that you are truly still the rock and the center of our lives, and that we can build our lives around you, God. We can be a part of a local church, God. We can worship with other people. We can join each and every person on that stream each and every Sunday and hear your word taught, God. And we can think about that throughout the week, and we can change our lives as we draw closer to you, God. We can still gather digitally, God. We thank you for that opportunity, that we can still be the church in that way, and that even though we may not be able to be together physically, that we can still connect with each other and ultimately connect with you. We thank you so much for each and every person that was in the stream. We pray that they're blessed by tonight's conversation. God, thank you so much, and it is in your name and by the power of your Spirit I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, man.
Absolutely.
Such a great conversation. Hey, guys, listen, I love you. I'll see you Sunday, 9:30, 11, and 5. Let's go change the world,
Absolutely.
Radiate. Love you guys. I'll see you then. Ah!